We all know that we need a first aid kit, but do you know that you need one for your pets? I'm at the Hilltop Pet Clinic and I'm with Dr. Brandon Beebout. Dr. Brandon, thank you. First of all, I did not know that we needed to have a first aid kit for our pets. What needs to be included?
So it is a good idea, and definitely not everybody thinks of it. Growing up in a very small town where you could be miles and miles away from your veterinarian, it is a good idea to at least have something on hand. You would want a kit that you know where it is, gloves, hydrogen peroxide, we'll get into that a little bit, gauze, towels, even potentially like a juvenile Epipen. That we've run into even with one of our own dogs, and so there can be a lot of good components in there.
Okay, so the Epipen, because pets have allergies.
So, well, even beyond allergies, we see, we have a cabin in southern Brown County. You get stung by a bee, you could potentially go into anaphylactic shock. While an Epipen may be not necessarily our favorite thing, but it will buy us time. The juvenile Epipen is a reduced milligram dose, and if you get in a tight spot, that can be potentially life-saving.
So would you keep the first aid with you in the car? Or how do you suggest?
Yep, anytime, if you're traveling and we're going hiking and we're taking the dogs with us, definitely a good idea to have on hand, just like if it were for us. We've seen stranger things, and so it's good to be prepared. Better to have it not need it than need it not have it.
When do we come to see you then? How do we know that our dog's injury or a pet's injury is severe enough that we need to come visit the vet, or should we just come see you anyway?
Well, I think that you know your own pet, and if you're concerned, we're concerned. It's better to lean on the err on the side of caution. Get those guys seen. If again you have an anaphylactic reaction, for instance, is a good example. We've seen collapse. That's not my dog. Let's get the epi on board, and then let's call into the veterinarian and see where we can get in.
Okay, so if we have the Epipen, do you have those available here at the clinic, or how can we get our hands on those?
So that's something that you'd have to probably get from the store. They're not going to be from veterinarians because they are developed for, again, juveniles would be your best because it's 0.15 milligrams versus 0.3 milligrams. And so that lower dose is going to be better for a more variety of pets. Obviously, if you had a giant dog, you could use a bigger milligram. But, yep, you could get that from potentially your doctor or even like a Walgreens type of thing.
What do we need to have in our first aid kit if our pet swallows something like a toxin like we've talked about earlier?
Sure. So hydrogen peroxide is our emetic, or something that will make us vomit. It's not necessarily a perfect avenue, but it is a way to get these guys to vomit up the toxin while you're calling your veterinarian. And a lot of people like to syringe it or try to pour it down the dog's mouth. You can risk aspiration that way. My suggestion is potentially put it in with a little bit of milk, a little bit of Fanta, soda type thing, where they'll actually want to drink it, and then see if we can get them to vomit, and then of course see our veterinarian anyway.
So keep one in the house, keep one in the car with you then.
Yep, I think that's a good idea. They come in little pints, and it's just good to have on hand. And I think it's about 1 ml per 10 pounds is kind of a good calculation, and you can always Google that too.
Okay, so if we have any questions at all, we can just give you guys a call.
Yep, us, or you can also call the Animal Poison Control Center. That number is widely available, and they're definitely a good first stop as well.
Thank you, Dr. Brandon, for your time. I appreciate it. Stay with us. Tune in next week as we learn more about tick-borne disease in our pets.